call the meeting to order for the Franklin Town Council for October 6, 2025. If you're able, and if you would, please join us as Vice Mayor Guffey leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of our country. Mr. Guffey.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Play ball. We're gonna have to heckle whoever's here next. Here's the play ball guy.
Last meeting, we had a presentation from DFI concerning the future use of the old hospital property. We were scheduled to have a follow-up tonight at tonight's meeting, but all the research and so forth has not been completed, so that's going to have to be postponed until a little later date. So just want to let you know that ahead of time. We do have an agenda here, so is there a motion concerning the approval of tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Any opposed, by like sign. The agenda is adopted for tonight's meeting. We also have in front of you the consent agenda. If there are any items on the consent agenda that need further discussion, we can have a board member could ask to have any of those taken off and discussed separately. Otherwise, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Selene. Motion to approve the consent agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. Motion made and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by raising your hand. Any opposed, by like sign. Motion carries. The consent agenda is approved. Item number 5 is our public session. Do we have anyone signed up to speak?
No, sir.
We have no one signed up to speak at the public session tonight. If you didn't get here in time to sign up and you'd like to do so, I'll recognize you at this time. Otherwise, we'll move ahead with the agenda. Anyone? If not, we'll close the public session and go for the call for a public hearing. Mr. Setzer, if you would, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Town Council. For you tonight is a call for a public hearing. The voluntary annexation you all approved, I think about 2 months ago. It was outside the ETJ and needed to go through initial zoning. Planning board has reviewed that. It's at 3044 Georgia Road. In your packet, you'll see the packet on the site with the recommendation to make it C2 zoning or commercial secondary, 0.56 acres off of right off of 441. And for your consideration, if you want to set the hearing for next month.
It says this property was recently annexed. Is that right?
Yes.
And it wasn't designated as a zoning?
Because it was outside of the ETJ and it didn't have any zoning assigned to it, and then once we annexed it.
So this is the first zoning of this piece of property?
Yeah.
Okay.
It borders 2 annexation, satellite annex parcels.
Okay.
One's across the road is a fast food mart, gas station, and then the High Paradise, both are zoned C2. So recommendation is to make it C2 as well.
Anyone have a question for Mr. Setzer?
They're applying for this zoning, right? This is what they want?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a commercial restaurant, kind of strip store.
So public hearing would be scheduled for Monday, November 3rd at 6:05 p.m. Is there a motion to set that public hearing?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Culpepper. Is there a second to Mr. Culpepper's motion?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Motion made and second to call for public hearing to be held Monday, November the 3rd, 6:05 p.m. or closer thereafter. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Opposed by like sign, that motion carries. And now we will open a public hearing for today, considering public input for text amendments to Chapter 152, Sections 152, 162, 152, 163, and 152.070. Mr. Setzer, would you give us an overview of this one?
Yeah, this came about when, council, when you all expressed the interest for the planning board to start holding public comment or public hearings at the planning board meeting, which is above and beyond the state requirement. And so with that, we started looking at that, me and the town attorney looking at those, making those changes. And we also found some other little changes that we needed to make in the UDO. I'll go through them real quick. The first one, the 152.070, is the establishment of Board of Adjustment and qualifications for members. Back in 2020, when we adopted the 160D updates that we needed to do, we had to have equal representation between ETJ and town members based off population. That was determined we needed to add an ETJ member. So we had added that ETJ member, but we never updated the text in the UDO. So that's the first section, is going from 7 to 8 and saying 3. And from 2 to 3 members shall reside in ETJ. And then just some cleanup stuff that we found. Still had Board of Aldermen, scratching that out, changing to town council. Section in about members that we would not pay planning board members a stipend. Had been for years, since I think 08. So striking that out. And then there's a rules of procedure that John drafted. I don't know if John wants to go into detail on that, but
I still got some amendments to do to it.
Yeah. So that's kind of the gist of 070, and then 152, 162. The fee was the fee covered all the advertising costs and everything, and then so we're striking out cover and so we would also, we have the fee for the rezonings, and then you would have a reimbursement of the advertisement costs. Because sometimes you would have some people, our fee would be enough to cover the advertising costs. And then you see principles of growth down in 5. This is in 152, 163. Scratching out principle growth, changing it to comprehensive plan. That was pre-comprehensive plan. And then here is where we added the planning board advertises for comments, and the town council provides a public notice of hearing and so on. This is the section where we're at, and we're at the comment period at planning board. It's in addition to the public hearing would be at town council. So that's the text amendments, or the changes as drafted, and the planning board reviewed these and they recommended their approval as drafted.
Does anyone have a question for Mr. Setzer? Mr. Culpepper?
Just to clarify what you just said, the planning board will have a public hearing, but it doesn't absolve us of having a public hearing. We would still have a public hearing as well.
The hearing is required to be held by the council before you actually make any change to the zoning map or ordinance. And so you can't, and you cannot, it's specific in the statute, you can't, lateral that to the planning board.
So we're sending out mailers to people to come to the planning board to solicit feedback. And then we will also, this board will have a public hearing and solicit feedback as well.
It's another chance for the public to know what you're going to do. I think this council has experienced it multiple times. I think the one before it did too, where, and I've seen this with other clients, they have followed the law, and the law says have it reviewed by your planning board, but doesn't require this step that we're adding now, and then you advertise it and have a public hearing and have a ton of folks that say, I don't know anything about this, and I didn't get a chance to even think about it. I'm just hearing about it, and I rushed over here. This at least gives them another chance, and you all can say, hey, there's been plenty of, we do more than we're required to by law.
Yeah, it should be super beneficial for everybody involved. The public gets more sunshine on what's going on, and we get more feedback.
Anyone else? If not, then we'll officially open the public hearing for text amendments on Chapter 152. No one has signed up to speak for this public hearing. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak who didn't get an opportunity to sign up? If not, we'll close the public hearing and ask the board if you're ready to take action. Mr. Guffey.
Motion to adopt.
Mr. Guffey makes a motion to adopt. Second. Ms. Celine, any discussion? Hear none? All those in favor of the motion, please signify by raising your hand. Any opposed, by like sign. That motion carries. Mr. Setzer, if you'll notify the planning board that that's been taken care of, we'd appreciate it.
Thank you, Justice. That's the board of Alderman.
Maybe not.
I wouldn't get any much money on that. We're working on it.
It was going to be aldermen and alderwomen, but they just changed it to town council, which is a more simpler term, I think.
Still councilman and councilwoman.
It should be council
Kick the can down the
person.
road.
Can I lie to you and tell you that there's a 20-year limit in the statutes that, you gotta get it all within 2 decades?
Okay. Under item number 8, new business, we have a request for approval of a capital project ordinance for the project we've been working on. That's for the Clearwell and the High Service Pump Station project, which can also include budget amendments, and I'd like to recognize our Finance Director, Ms. Bishop.
Thank you, Mayor. So you guys have in front of you the drafted capital project ordinance for our Clearwell project. We completed the financing with Webster Bank on September 11th, 2 days after we were approved by the LGC to obtain that financing. So you'll see that our total project is $6,338,019.75. That's for the contracted amount of $6,301,400, and then our closing costs ended up totaling $36,619.75. So if this capital project is approved, then you've got the budget amendments to go with it so that we can appropriate our portion of the retained earnings. So you see there, that's $3,113,19.75.
So the budget's in place. If the board approves this ordinance and proceeds, then the next step is to actually start the project.
So yes, if you guys approve this capital project ordinance as presented and these budget amendments, the budget will be established and we are ready to go.
Mr. Culpepper.
And the dream of getting some of this money back is still alive.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, still out there.
60-page grant application.
Of 2.5 million?
2.97.
Okay, so fingers crossed. That would help.
We have the opening pre-construction meeting on Friday.
Wow, yeah.
We're good to go.
And we made sure John looked over our financing contract to be sure that we could prepay without penalty, so.
And just for those who may not be aware, with this project is complete, it will actually double our capacity for fresh, for, explain in layman's term, Madam Manager, what this will do to our water system.
What this does for our water system, currently the existing Clearwell only holds 6,000 gallons of treated water. What this improvement will allow us to hold 250,000 gallons, which is 1/4 of our capacity. So in the event something happens to the system, we've got 250,000 gallons of potable water that we can have trucks come in and get. We can route it out to tanks so that we don't have to require people to do excessive conservation. So what it does is just gives us some options. If we need to take part of the basins down to clean them, we don't have to have mandatory conservation efforts out and about. We will have 1/4 of our total capacity available.
Redundancy.
Anyone have a question?
It's a lot of water.
It is.
Motion to
Maybe.
approve.
And I'll second Mike's.
We have a motion and a second to approve the ordinance along with the budget amendments to
Right.
make this happen. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by raising your hand. Any opposed, by like sign. That motion carries. Thank you all for your hard work on putting this together. And just for curiosity's sake, after the project begins, How much time are we expecting it to take before it's completed?
We have approval from DEQ, in North Carolina DEQ, it has to be done by October of 2027.
Okay. Hopefully it won't take that long. All right. Ms. Bishop, we have a request for an incentive application.
Yes, sir.
And since you serve in more than one capacity as our downtown coordinator at the time, plus being our finance director, would you bring us up to date on this?
Yes, sir. Thank you. We received our second application for the grant process that you guys approved. It's for Renee's Cake Shop. They would like to replace an awning on the back side of their building. It is an older awning back there that I'm not sure how long it's actually been there. But it is causing some water drainage issues at this time. So this new awning will help with the water drainage issues, but it's also going to make it look better as well. So she's applied for this. This program, as you remember from the last one, we do a 50% match is what our program's designed for, so that'd be $2,668.75 if you guys choose to approve this.
And this is the second application we've had for this particular project. And it's also, just so folks will know, this project is a reimbursement. The owner, whoever's going to do the work, does that, and then they get reimbursed 50%
Yes.
from the town.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, the facade,
Up to.
the facade improvement program is a 50% match.
Well, is there a motion concerning this?
What questions?
Any questions?
No, motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Motion made and second, Mr.
Happy to
Tompa.
see that people are taking advantage of this, because there's an effort, I don't know if you've noticed on the backside of Main Street, there's some people, a lot of merchants have been doing what they can to make that area look better. I'm glad to see them taking advantage of this program, because that's what we envisioned when we started it.
Yeah.
It'll look better and it'll also take care of a water problem at the same time.
And it does look pretty rough back there, and so it'll be helpful.
When that gets replaced, she's gonna repaint and redo back there as well.
Oh, good.
So,
So we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? If not, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by raising your hand. Any opposed, by like sign.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Bishop. Item C, request for approval to dispose of assets. This is an unusual situation, and I'll refer to our town manager to give you any details you may need before the board takes action concerning this request. Ms. Owens.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. As you see in your packet, we have had a K-9 handler who has left our employment, gone to another agency. Toro, the K-9, we have had since August of 2020. He was donated to the town, so no taxpayer money was utilized to do that purchase or anything. He has served the town for 5 years. The average useful life for a K-9 officer is 7 years. So he still has 2 years of useful time left. It is very difficult to change a handler midstream. If he was a puppy, we probably wouldn't be coming to you with this request. But because he has been with Sergeant Kirkland for 5 years, it just seems right for him to stay with Sergeant Kirkland. His new agency has made the request as well to utilize him in that capacity, as well as to purchase an outside 10x10 kennel. He is listed as an asset for the town, and his value at this point is $3,365, and the kennel is valued at $500. So the request is to do that disposition for a total, the two items, $3,865. They would have to pay that amount before the dog is released. Sergeant Kirkland actually moved on to the other agency, and someone else has been taking care of Toro in our agency for these past 2 weeks, and it's you know, the dog's getting a little antsy about things. So in the best interest of not only Sergeant Kirkland and his duties, but Toro as well, the request has been to go ahead and do that disposition.
And they're happy to give us the money? That's all.
They'll have a check tomorrow.
Yeah. Motion to
And
approve.
I do want to say, this is not the end of the K-9 program for the town of Franklin. We are suspending it temporarily so that we can concentrate more on getting patrol officers and getting fully staffed before we get into any additional specialty areas. But so don't think that we're never going to have dogs, but we have a fantastic relationship with Macon County Sheriff's Office. They have multiple K-9s that we can utilize when we need assistance. Chief, anything you want to add to that?
No, you echoed it just great. I agree with everything she said, and we're just not in a place at this time to provide another K-9 officer. We need to focus on retention and recruitment.
Like any other property owned by the town, this has to go through the proper channels for disposition, and is this what we would classify as a negotiated private sale?
It is, and it's below $30,000, therefore we can do so.
The only other question I would have is subject to upset bid.
It is not, because it's a negotiated sale.
We have the recommendations from the manager concerning this issue. Are there any questions? If not, is there a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion to approve the request. Second, Mr. Culpepper. Any more discussion? If not, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by raising your hand. Opposed by like sign. That motion carries. We hope both the officer and the K-9 do well in their new position. It's time for our departmental reports, and we're glad to have 3 reports tonight. We'll start off with our finance director, Ms. Bishop.
Justin yells at me if I don't walk up. So you get to hear from me again. I don't have a whole lot to report tonight. We have finished up all of the meat of our audit. It has gone through technical review with their management. They came back with some of their little questions like they always do, but we pretty much would have it buttoned up until we got some communication from the auditors last week. We are a single audit. We have received enough state and federal funds that it marks us for a single audit, where they just have to test to make sure that we spend the money appropriately by the grant guidelines and all those things. It's just a little more testing they do on their part. Well, the federal government has not released their updated compliance supplement for the year ending June 30th of 2025. And until they do, the auditors cannot complete any single audits. And since we do hit that threshold, even though we are done and pretty well buttoned up, we're kind of in a holding place until they release their document. So
That department of the federal government currently shut down.
I don't know. I'm not sure. One thing that I have checked on, our spending thresholds this year, we did not hit a federal single audit. We did hit a state single audit. I'm hoping that they're going to come back and tell me that this only applies to federal. And since ours is state, hopefully the state of North Carolina has released all their documentation and we can go ahead and push through, but I don't have confirmation on that yet.
Who would tell you that?
I reached out to our auditors. They should be able to tell me that. I don't know if this puts a hold on all single audits or just federal. So I'm waiting to hear on that specification. But otherwise, everything went well. We have all of our revenues in for the year. So we're just waiting to hear on that. And then we should be able to submit our audit and be done for June 30th of 2025. So I'll let you guys know as that comes about. But
Did they give you an idea when they'll be ready to present the audit report to the board?
they will be ready to present it within 30 days of when they submit it. So whatever that time, or 6 weeks. I think it's 6 weeks they have to present it to you guys for when they submit it. So they will, I don't expect that it will be at the next board meeting. Probably because of this, we'll push it to December of this year, I would think, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
I will have to, it will highly depend on when this supplement gets released.
Well, even with the delay, we'll probably have ours done before most municipalities and state do anyways.
We were the first on the schedule for our auditors. So, yes, we had it done early, we just can't help this. So, just wanted to give you guys an update there, but everything looks good. We should have a good clean audit for you very soon. We've also, like, you know, we just talked about financing. We've been working on that. That's been a big part of our office for the last couple months. So really glad to have that done, and thank you for the approval. You guys will be hearing lots about that construction, I'm sure. As far as the Main Street, Justin and I met with another interested property owner this past week about some questions they had about their property and whether it might be eligible for one of the grants. So we gave her the information. So hopefully maybe we'll have another application coming your way. So I do believe that the Main Street business owners are really starting to talk, and they're seeing some things happen, and I think it's a really good program. They're really gaining more interest in. So we appreciate you guys doing that. I know they do too. But that's, I think, about all that I've got right now. Unless you guys have questions.
Anyone have a question for Ms. Bishop?
Revenue looking good?
Yeah, the hard part about this time of year is that we're really still working on last year's revenue, trying to get those in. Our tax revenue is coming in well from the property tax billing. I have not seen any sales tax revenue yet for this fiscal year. I guess I could give you guys that update. Sales tax revenues from year ending June 30th, 2025, we finished well over budget. I think I had told you guys we would probably exceed it by about 500,000. We exceeded it over 700,000 of what we budgeted. We have had a couple of months down a little bit, but then the next month it'll jump right back up. So I'm having a really hard time gauging where that one's going, but right now it's still trending well. So I'll keep you updated as we move forward in this fiscal year with those revenues. But right now property taxes are doing well. So.
You mentioned the term single audit. What's the alternative?
Yellow book audit.
Tell me more.
That's the term.
No.
So a yellow book audit is just straight, they're auditing what we're doing, our internal policies, our internal controls, making sure that, we are following our policies, we are keeping our general ledger balanced and doing things according to the book, just standard. The single audit only comes into play when it comes to federal and state grant funding, or money. So we had a state grant for the fire department this past year that factored into our state single audit. We didn't have to count the Part F grant yet because right now we've only spent our money. So that will come into play this next year, but we didn't have enough federal funds spent this year to qualify for a federal single audit. They just dig a little deeper. They want to make sure we're following those grant guidelines, making sure we're spending the money the way we're supposed to, we're accounting for it the way we're supposed to, reporting on it, all of those things.
Thank you.
It's more expensive too.
It's more expensive too, yes.
Any more questions? Thank you, ma'am. Now the Director for Planning and Information Technology, Mr. Setzer.
Good evening, Mayor and Town Council again. In planning, so far this year, there's been 48 land development permits permitted this year. There has been in code enforcement, currently right now there's 21 current open notice of violations open that Angel's working on, and this year there's 140 closed notice violations. So that's how many violations that she's worked on and closed and got compliance on. Sign permits, don't have the number for sign permits, but they're not pretty low. I think we're still only about 10 permits for the year. There's not many permits. They they're hard to judge. There's never like a trend, unlike land development permits. So a couple of years ago, David probably remembers this. When we put projects in for sidewalk projects, they go into what's NCDOT STIP program, and then they get ranked, and then if they score well, then they get funded. And whenever you're looking at those projects, there's usually, like with our bike plan, there's a project cost, and sometimes, they're not perfect, they're not exact, and but that's what you got to go off of. So sometimes when we're picking and choosing projects, you put something in, you're like, hey, this looks like a good project, not to be too expensive. So one that was funded back in '21 was the East Franklin Sidewalk Loop. And that was the project for building a new sidewalk from right there where the sidewalk is, just past Poindexter Tire, and it goes all the way up East Main, and it was going to cut up Old Cat Creek and tie into First Street. Funded, awarded. Well, then that project originally, the estimated cost for it was $220,000. Town our size, 10,000 people, 20% match is what we pay for sidewalk projects through DOT. Pay them, they do the work. So that would have made our match $44,000. Project's awarded. Engineers get on site, they start looking at it and start seeing little things, seeing, oh, you've got slope here, you need some retaining walls, there's some drainage issues, you need to move some utilities. That project ballooned to 1.8 million. So for me, I was like, well, that's almost makes that project not going to happen, because that was going to make our match $370,000 for that sidewalk. Not really maybe economical with our funds that we get from Powellville from the state. Program I did not know about, but Rose at the Southwest Commission, the RPO, she knew about. There is a federal toll credit program. And she said, before we cancel this, let's see if we can just throw in there and see what happens. She applied for us for that program. We were awarded that program. And that program will then reimburse the state. Should, from what I know, will not come to us, because I'm sure it doesn't federal grant. Should go straight to the state, reimbursement of that difference, and we would be, it's $326,000 from Fed loan money will go to the state to cover that cost, and we would still be just paying the $44,000 like original.
Wow, great.
So she told me we got that grant, was awarded it, so just found that out, I think like last Wednesday or something. So it was a good time to tell everybody the update tonight.
But we gotta turn it into a toll road, because it's a toll grant?
I don't know where
That's gonna be your good job.
I don't know how it works.
You can
but
go there.
We
her a bottle of champagne?
yeah, so if you see Rose, thanks Rose. Rose, I'm glad you knew about it, because I was not aware of it. Never. So it's something to remember in the future, though, if we run into this in the future.
Yeah, how often do you expect a place to be able to get that type of grant? That's big.
I don't know. I'll have to dig into it and see, you can apply every 5 years for one, or every year or something.
I can't believe that's a lot.
I'm glad she was aware of it.
Justin, when will those funds be available from the feds?
When the government opens.
I'm not sure. She acted like it was going to go pretty soon, and they'd get it, and so we could start.
But it's one that's still scheduled to pay out.
Yeah, I think so. Because it's an ongoing program that's still active. If something changes, I'll let you all know. So we should get, once the state has to do they got to do some paperwork, and then we'll get an agreement so we can pay our match at 44, and then they'll get started on it. I don't know when a construction date is. It probably, usually once it gets to this point, it's within 2 years. So hopefully within the next 2 years, we'll see that sidewalk project.
Good job.
Appreciate that.
I was ready to give up, because I was like, this is too much money, but I'm glad Rose said, wait before you give up. I'll tell them that.
How far down, will it go around Poindexter to all the way down to First Street to make that connection all the way around?
It's going to go, it'll start right there at Poindexter's, where the sidewalk ends right at the motel.
Yeah.
And then it'll go all the way up to First Street, the backside, we're at Grace Presbyterian, because our sidewalk on First Street, it'll tie into it.
Okay. But it won't it's not gonna make the turn onto the Highlands Road then?
No, not that far. It's kind of making that loop. Because there is a sidewalk there on Poindexter's that goes up First Street.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Congratulations, good job.
Another program, so every 5 years, Macon County and Clay County were part of or you have to do a hazard mitigation plan. I'm sure some of you have heard me talk about this. Every 5 years, have to do an update to it. Then 5 years again. I've got here in front of you, there's a QR link to a public survey. Had a kickoff meeting with them last month over in Clay County. All the towns are invited, of course the counties. All your emergency management folks are there. This is to the public survey for the public to fill out. I think you'll see a lot of changes to this kind of plan. In the past years, it's a lot on drought, thunderstorms, there's a lot of, but since Helene just come through, you're probably going to see a lot of, just change a little bit, see some different items, since that kind of changed there. That's where people are looking at storms now. We'll have this link on the website. I got this Friday. We'll have it on the website for sometime this week, so anybody can go there to take the public survey. Hopefully the media will mention it, try to get as many surveys completed as possible. It'll be, I don't know how long it's open, but I think it's open for a good 30, 45 days. So that's all I got.
Well, tell us about what's happening next week on the 15th.
Oh, yeah.
So next week, so every year at the North Carolina Association Planning Association, they have their annual conference. They have some awards. There's various awards. Towns, counties can submit comprehensive plans for awards. There's student awards, they award students that are in planning degrees, at Chapel Hill or ECU. So they have a wide variety of awards. But they also have Great Place Awards, which is some of your little pocket parks or your, and they have one for artwork, public art. This past year the town, we submitted the Women's History Park to be considered for as a Great Place Award in the state of North Carolina. And it was chosen to be the recipient this year, and the town will be receiving that award October the 15th in Charlotte at the conference.
Great. So that's something to be proud of, and I can't help bragging about the Women's History Trail volunteers and the statue and Wesley's great work on putting together that sculpture. And this is an award that Justin applied for. I'm giving you some credit because you deserve it. Applied for, and it was picked up by the North Carolina chapter of the American Planning Association to be the best, I'll keep calling it the best display of municipal art and parks in the state for this year. And so we're excited about this report and this award, and our thanks go out to not only the sculptor, but all the ladies who worked on that and the town board for supporting this project. And I think it'll continue to bring recognition to Franklin for this great piece of art and what it means, not just a great piece of art, but what it means as far as highlighting the role of women in our history and our culture. And we're just very proud to be able to brag to others on what has been done here in Franklin with the Women's History Trail Project. And thank you for your work.
Thank you. I'll say it's what the towns are. I mean, I just thought it would be, I saw they had this last year when I went to the conference, and I thought it would be good for the town to, I thought, hey, we have a shot to apply for that for the town and give some recognition, and some people see the art and that it should be seen, and hopefully maybe people will want to come see it after seeing it's won awards across the state. It's not my award.
I just want to say the Folk Heritage Association of Macon County, I mean, I think that it's got to be one of the best gifts that any town's ever received. And there's going to be a representative from them going as well as the sculptor. So it's big. So
It is.
Thank you, Justin, for doing that work.
Anybody else have any questions?
I had one question. Justin, you said 48 permits this year. Is that a lot? Is that normal or?
It's probably down. Last year we had a crazy year. We had like 75 permits last year, and the year before we've always stayed. We've been tracking up, and last year though was a big year. We tracked up like 25%. We're usually around 50 to 55, so we're probably on track with our normal numbers, you know. But I think we'll be down from last year, but we'll still be tracking up. I could see us around 55 again by the end of the year. You know, that's everything. That's everything from a new house to new construction business, or somebody putting an addition on their house, or, you know, it's a wide variety of things.
You're talking calendar year.
Yeah, I go just through calendar year, not fiscal year.
Anyone else? Thank you, Justin. I don't think you have any more good news, but you've brought us a lot of good news tonight, so thank you very much. Our last presenter tonight is Chief Devin Holland from the Franklin Police Department.
Well, good evening, council. First of all, I'd like to say happy belated birthday to Mike Lewis. Wish him a happy birthday. Police department is staying busy as usual with calls and winding up a lot of summer activities and events. Only to pick back up the fall and holiday events coming up very soon, which is one of our busy seasons. As Miss Amy told you, we just approved the purchase of K-9 Toro, and I'd like to move into that. Sergeant Kirkland had 18 years of service to the town of Franklin, which I feel like nowadays that's a longevity. But he left to go to another agency for more money and actually a more devoted position to K-9, so it was a better opportunity for him. Just right before that, we lost another I say long time, but he had 6 years with the town of Franklin, but he was a sergeant, and he went to another agency.
Sorry about that.
Well, I'll keep my comments.
But is it money in both cases?
Yes and no.
Not just entirely the money.
Money's the main reason for a lot of departures. But anyway, it was actually the night of the last board meeting. Sergeant Kirkland told me he was leaving, gave me his notice, and I immediately informed the town manager. And the next morning, she called me to her office with Amy and Sarah and the assistant chief, and open arms, like, what can we do and how can we help you and what guidance can we give you. So about a week later, I submitted some trending data and some that I already have and some new data that I collected with some recommendations, provided it to them, and they hit the ground running to help us. And so I'd just like to extend my sincere appreciation for their hard work and diligence in making that happen. We've made some changes and adjustments within the department that will help recruitment and retention. Since that time, let me back up. So we had those 2 departures left us with 4 vacancies, which really puts a strain on the working officer. However, since we've made some changes and some prayers going up, we were able to replace Sergeant Kirkland with a 8-year veteran. He was a former deputy with Jackson County, a young man with a family, lives here in Franklin. We've hired him to replace Sergeant Kirkland, which is a great hire. We also hired 2 BLET cadets on a part-time basis. They finish in about 8 weeks, but once they graduate successfully, they will potentially have a full-time job. So technically, we'll be back to full staff. So thanks to some hard work and prayers, we are taken care of. We also have people still applying. We're talking to a young man this week that really wants to come work here from Cherokee County. He just moved over here. So we're getting the interest. And just wanted to bring that to your attention that these ladies helped us tremendously and couldn't have done it without them. In September, we hosted our first ever blood drive at the police station. We had a goal of 18 donors and ended up in that 4-hour period getting 24 donors. So we met the goal and was very successful in that. So we'll probably do that again very soon, since it was such a success. But what hit home for that blood drive was the day before, there was a very horrific accident on 64 West. I actually was the first one there. There was a young man that had to be extracted from the vehicle. Honestly, I didn't think he was going to make it, but he's still alive today. But they transported him to Angel Hospital, where they picked up blood from the blood bank and flew him to Northeast Georgia Medical Center. So I feel like that was kind of a good example of why you should be donating blood. So just give you that little tidbit of information. Some of the events we participated in since my last report in July was the 80s flashback event, the first day of greeting students at East Franklin School, 2 Chick-fil-A safety events, the 9/11 memorial ceremony, the National Night Out, and the Factory's Public Safety Day. Now this doesn't count other events and festivals that go on that we don't really participate in, but we still have to set up for street closures and other setup. We've had a few political demonstrations over the summer. I actually have one next week. And I'd like to discuss with the organizations hosting these political demonstrations our town ordinances and our expectations so that they know their role in having a peaceful demonstration. And I can say that of all the ones we've had, and I expect the future one next week, there's been no issues and everyone's been kind and behaved themselves. I'd like to touch on what Justin Setzer was talking about with code enforcement. We continue to have a great partnership with Angela in code enforcement, and it takes both of our departments to get things moving and make things happen when there's issues and problems arise. And a lot of times I'll see an issue when I'm out patrolling that I see she can handle, and I'll give it to her, and the next day she's dealing with it. So she's very eager to help us. And if you don't believe in zoning and ordinances, I welcome anybody to come and go along with Angela and see how important it is, especially for residents when you live in close proximity to one another. It's pretty important that you have such ordinances to protect one another. And in closing, I'd just like to say that our police work will never be done, but I feel confident that due to our problem solving and our proactive patrols, we've made Franklin a very safe place to live. It's not perfect, but I feel like as far as safety and violent crime is pretty much non-existent. So I thank you for your continued support to help us carry on quality policing.
Great. Anyone have a question for Chief of Police?
Too much better if I can get familiar with the way I talk.
Thank you, Chief.
You have a question?
May I have a question?
Today I have a question.
I have a comment.
Yeah.
There's hardly a day goes by that an individual or an organization won't report some sort of squatting or vandalism. It's an issue in some parts of town, and every time I've called within the same day, the chief's been out to look at it. Some places to put up surveillance, or some places to make changes that have helped out a lot of property owners. I appreciate that.
Well, that's my pet peeve. Again, that kind of goes back to what do you want out your, behind your business or your back door. You don't want that type of element there. But yes, if we don't see it, we don't know about it, but we rely on citizens and businesses to inform us of, because if we run out of one place or remedy a location, they just move to another one. So we have to maintain our contact with our citizens.
How about the downtown door? Is that something that you're still having complaints about, or is that working well from the...
They come in waves. We still have complaints from neighboring businesses, mainly from the loitering. If I'm working and I go by there and I see them outside the perimeter of the downtown door, I make them get back on the property or go back inside, because if I was a neighboring business, I wouldn't want them loitering in front of my business either, for customers or my employees.
Yeah.
There's been some events on the backside that the business owners are pretty quick to call me if something's kind of rising back there.
We probably need to have a downtown door presentation again pretty soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Anybody else have a question, comment? Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it.
Have a good evening.
Last month, we talked about an infrastructure grant, and Vice Mayor Guffey was going to do some work on revising that, bring it back to us this meeting. So, Mr. Guffey, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This was an attempt to offer the kind of incentives we're offering to other businesses, to some of our larger commercial and industrial businesses here in the town of Franklin. And I didn't do all the work on the changes. Madam Manager did, and so I'm going to turn it over to Amy to talk about those changes.
Okay, Ms. Owens.
Thank you, sir. We discussed last time that it was presented as an industrial infrastructure incentive grant. Had some comments from the council and went back and tried to define certain things. Found that it was probably going to be more productive to do it as a commercial infrastructure program so that it could be used in all of the commercial districts, C1 through C3, as well as industrial I1, so that it widened the scope and the availability. We also made it a matching grant, just like the other types of grants that we have, with a maximum up to $15,000. Currently, you do have that pool of money that we set aside, which is $60,000, and at this point, only about $6,000 has been used. So we didn't feel like at this point we needed to come back and ask for additional funds to be added until we see who's going to be applying, how many applications we get. But there is the potential, if you approve this, that we would need to come back in the future and potentially ask for some additional funding.
Okay. So money's in place, applications can come in, and we do have funds to cover some of those, maybe not all that come in, but at least what's in the budget for this year. And the other thing is, once someone is selected or a business is selected to receive one of these grants, we will actually put together a contract that will require them to meet certain thresholds and provisions that triggered the grant to make sure that they're living up to their part of the agreement with the town. So that'll come, and we'll see how that works out. But I think those are good changes. I think that spreads the responsibility out, not just on the town, but also on the recipient. And hopefully it'll show a good return on investment for the folks here in town, because what we do has to be for a public purpose.
And it goes towards job creation, job retention. These are going to be infrastructure projects, not just because, hey, I've got a leaking pipe out here and I think the town needs to help me fix it. It has to be linked directly to some economic development component.
Anyone have a question? If not, is there a motion to approve, and you have the details in your agenda packet, to approve the revised commercial infrastructure grant program that was discussed at last meeting, revised for this meeting, and is subject to final approval by the board?
So moved.
We have a motion to approve it. Is there a second? Thank you, Mr. Guffey. We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Mr. Culpepper.
I'll make a couple comments. I mean, I'm definitely more comfortable knowing that it is available to everyone. I'm still not sure how I feel about it, because I'm fairly against corporate welfare projects, but this is not exclusively for corporations. I don't know. It's definitely better than it was last meeting, so.
Thank you. And I think the reason it was revised because of some of the comments that you made last meeting, so we appreciate that input. Anyone else?
I definitely see this as a business retention opportunity and meeting a need for, recruitment of business is one thing, but retention is a lot easier a lot of times if we're willing to help, so.
And what are the parameters for applying? I mean, is it going to be a standard application form? Anybody that Is there one per year, is there multiple per year, or however much future boards want to fund it?
Usually for ones like this size, it falls under, like we have for the design grants and everything, that it's one every 10 years for a particular business, so that you don't have the same business asking for it year after year after year.
Okay.
So it'll be a part, it'll just be another section.
It'll be just another section of the adopted incentives that you have already.
But there's a 10-year
That's
re-upping of
usually for
it.
those grants that are $15,000 or more, $20,000 or more, it's usually a limitation, so.
But if it isn't in our written document
Right.
now, we will make it that
Yes, ma'am.
way.
This may be an incentive to partner with the county on some of their economic development projects as well. I know some years back, and Joe probably remembers this, what's called Lander now was under a different name and some years back, and they needed some help, and the county and the town both went together with grants to help them through that rough area, and they stayed in business and kept those people employed. So there's always a possibility that the county may want to work with us on making more of this available to those who need it.
I have one more question. I was trying to find the policy, and it's not on our website, is it?
No, the policy itself isn't.
I think there's one that it seemed like it fit under very well, and I think it might behoove us to put these, at least some way that people know.
But we are revising the website,
Right.
so I don't want to add anything new to the existing website at this point, because we're making that transition, so, but before it's on there in April, we'll make sure that it gets.
Okay, good.
In the meantime, people can ask for a copy.
Yeah.
I guess the devil's in the details, because, I mean, if you put a certain amount of jobs, I mean, they could be low-paying jobs. If you only put one job, it could be an excellent job, and we're trying to retain that job. So I guess when and how are we going to formulate
Those come back to you all as the council to vote on, just like Sarah brought the incentive back tonight. Those have to be voted on up here.
Okay, because it could be, two $75,000 jobs, or it could be 18, $35,000 jobs. I mean, a number probably shouldn't be the only qualifier. It should be,
Well, and that's why we made it a little bit subjective, so that when it does come before the town council, you can ask those types of questions and be able to make those decisions as to whether or not you feel like it is a good investment of the taxpayer money.
Any other discussion? We do have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the Commercial Infrastructure Grant Program. If there's not any other discussion, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by raising your hand. Any opposed by like sign? That motion carries. Thank you, Amy, and thank you, Stacy, for working on that for us. Mr. Guffey, we're still on another item that you would like to bring back to us, and maybe our town manager would also chime in about a RFP for redesign for Main Street.
This is the result of the meeting that we had with NCDOT. We've been asking for a lot of changes to our Main Street, and their suggested solution to that was to have a redesign process that coincided with the repaving of Main Street. And the way their rules work is that if it's a public process, which these have to be, then it carries a lot more weight than us just asking for things. And so this covers everything from the speed mitigation, the design of the street, looking at whether there's opportunities to widen the sidewalk, road diet, treescape. It includes Main Street and then Back Street as well, because we heard from a lot of merchants that speeding's out of control on Back Street, so might as well look at the speed mitigation back there. The manager went back and made some changes to the document, and before she gets into those, one thing that I would suggest, Rita and I talked this afternoon about thinking about the cost of a plan like this, and I sort of have in my head what I think it would cost, but it might be good to do some sort of pre-bid checking around to get a ballpark figure so that when we get in closer to the time when we're gonna talk about approval of this, and if we have to do a budget amendment or something to that nature, that we have a good idea of how much it's gonna cost.
I was gonna say, we may want to dust off any old redesign plans and talk about them maybe at the retreat or something like that.
Including the one from 1967.
Yeah, I mean, all of that data is good. I mean, I like to look at that stuff, but I'll miss the retreat.
Tell me if I'm wrong, but I think the last I recalled is that DOT was looking at scheduling repaving our Main Street area in 2026, is that right?
They will let the bid in November of 2026. At that point, after the bid is satisfied, then they still have up to 2 years to start the project.
But they've been gonna start for at least 7 years now. It's like, it's been imminent, like every year. Like, we had to get the either parallel or not parallel figured out quick, because they're gonna pave next year.
Well, they've been telling it since before Justin started here, 10 years.
Okay.
So, anyway, what this proposal does is, as Vice Mayor Guffey said, it's more comprehensive. It also includes looking at infill development that we may need to look at. How we get people to utilize second floor areas for housing or other opportunities. So it's more comprehensive. This is going to be a wide arching RFP. It will not be one that gets completed quickly, the project-wise. At this point, some of the people that I have spoken to, between $50,000 and $75,000 is an average cost for this type of plan. But when you get this type of plan, they work very closely with DOT, so you find a firm that has worked with DOT before, has all the capabilities that we're looking for, and can give you multiple options to look at. Because we don't just want one option to say, here, go with it, this is all we've got. We want to be able to look at plans, move things around, be able to plan for the future. Part of what you've already approved is the CCTV of all of the infrastructure that's underneath Main Street currently. You approved that at your meeting last month to do that budget amendment. Because unless we know what's under the street, when they start digging it up, if they hit something that we don't know is there, then that becomes another cost, and we don't want to have to look at additional costs because we didn't do something in advance.
And there's infrastructure that needs replaced anyway,
So we're looking at it from a lot of different ways, not just how do we make it pretty and control speeding. So it is a very comprehensive type RFP that we're going to send out. That's why we didn't want to just send it out without everybody having the opportunity to look at it, to weigh in on it. You'll notice there are no dates in this because a lot of times the quotations that we get are only good for 90 days. So until we're a little closer to that letting of the actual paving bid, we need to hold off a little bit. I need the input because that was part of the direction, was get us a draft, let's look at it, and make sure everybody's on board with it before we send it out.
And we won't get a better opportunity because, they're going to repave regardless. So if we're going to do anything on that thoroughfare, we need to be looking at it and deciding what we want to do.
You can't wait till they crank the trucks up before you decide what you want. Now, there is an organization through NC State University called Institute for Transportation Research and Education, ITRA. You may be familiar with it. I'm not sure if they do any consulting or any advice on projects like this or not, but it might be a resource to check into.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You mentioned infill, and in the depth and the scope of this RFP, I don't know if whoever we hire is just going to break it to us that we only have one block of Main Street or not. Are they going to advise us, you have one block of Main Street, here's how you can make your Main Street more of just one block? I don't know if that's going to be part of the questions we're going to be asking them.
I think it will be, especially from the public participation that we get and the fact that it's going to actually be not just Main Street, but also Palmer Street as well, and looking at Phillips and Iowa as the connectors. But again, we'll have to, when we get into the meetings with whomever's chosen to do the study, say, these are the expectations that we have.
Are we looking for a formal action from the board tonight as far as the draft?
No, sir, I just wanted to make sure that everybody had it, that they were aware,
Okay.
that we'll get input, so if you have any questions, comments, criticisms, let me know.
Okay.
And we'll,
Yeah, like the manager said, there's no dates on here, so if you got something that you'd really like to see in that RFP, now's the time to put it in.
I have an idea. If that street's not paved in 2027, I say we crank the trucks and go out and pave it.
Just takes money, Mr. Guffey, it just takes money. Oh, thank you. Thank you for that. Is there anything else on that? If not, we'll move on to item C. You have in front of you, board members, a ballot for the appointment of a vacancy on the Tourism Development Authority Board. And we will go ahead and allow you to go ahead and proceed with those ballots, and of course they'll be checked and signed by whichever way you vote. The only thing I'd say about that, the TDA board is very, very important to the town as far as tourism development and recruitment and so forth. So when you decide who you want to serve on that particular board for this vacancy, I'd ask you not to consider just personalities, but also consider what that person may be able to bring to and contribute to the purpose and the goals of that Tourism Development Authority, because we want to make sure that they're successful, because if they're successful, the town is successful. So hopefully you'll base your decisions on who you want to serve on the person that you think will do the best with the TDA and for the town. And with that said, I'd ask you to go ahead and complete your ballots and return those to the clerk, and she can tally those.
Surprise. It's like a little element of fun in the meeting here.
Okay, we have 4 votes for Mr. McGinnis, so Mr. McGinnis will be the next TDA board member.
Can you say that a little bit louder?
Sorry, get it a little closer. There were 4 votes for Mr. McGinnis, Mr. Colin McGinnis, who owns Gracious Plates here on Main Street.
So Mr. McGinnis will be the board's appointment to the TDA board to fill the vacancy. Okay. All right, then there's nothing else that we need to do to that, do we, Mr. Attorney? Yes. We'll move on to announcements. The next regular town council meeting is scheduled for Monday, November the 3rd, which, by the way, is the day before the next election. So I'm sure that'll bring a lot of interest out. And so put that on your calendars. Municipal election, of course, is Tuesday, November the 4th. And on Tuesday, October the 14th, we'll be having Firefighters Memorial Day here in Franklin, Chief. So we look forward to celebrating that and for the good work that our firefighters do. And then, of course, the biggest celebration we have of the year, or the one that has the most attendance, I think, is Pumpkin Fest. And my grandkids love Pumpkin Fest, and I'm sure your kids and grandkids do too. So that is scheduled, and it'll be the 29th annual Pumpkin Fest on Saturday, October the 18th, 2025. So make sure you don't miss that. And if you're willing to do that, I'm sure you can get a pumpkin to roll down the hill and see if you can compete with those young folks trying to win that contest. It'll be a great time here in Franklin. At this time, we have a couple of items that need to be discussed in closed session. One is considering personnel under 143-318, period 11A6, and the other is acquisition of real property purchase, option, or exchange under 143-318.11A5. Is there a motion? We go into closed session for those items.
So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by raising your hand. That motion carries, and we'll be in closed session.
Do you want to go around the board now or come back or? Board feedback or no?
You want to stay in here or do you want to go upstairs?
Yeah, let's stay here.
He's already gaveled there.
All right, then.
We're back in open session again, Mia. And we have no thunderbolts to give you, so after we get everybody in, is everybody here?
Yes.
No, with no other business and nothing to report of any action from closed session, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Don't need one.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. That motion carries. This meeting is adjourned.
Y'all standing down?
I may need this job.
Hey, it's going up to 500, isn't it? I know. 500 clowns a
Is
month?
it too late to start a write-in campaign?
Yeah, that's not chicken feed.
We're back in open session. Concerning one item on the closed session about property acquisition, no action has been taken on that one way or the other, so we have nothing to report on that. The other item in closed session was personnel, and that involved our annual performance evaluation of our town manager. Ms. Owens has been town manager here in Franklin with us now for 4 years and done an outstanding job and continues to do an outstanding job. And so part of our contract with Ms. Owens is to do an annual performance evaluation to tell her what we think she's doing good and what we think she could improve on. And it was very, very positive. All the board members had very good comments about our manager's performance over the past year, and we appreciate her work and her dedication to the town of Franklin. One of the things that we discussed is the fact that our town manager has not had a merit increase in salary for over 2 years. And so one of the things that this board would like to do is make an adjustment on our manager's salary. And at this time, we have a motion from the council as to what the salary should be, the salary, the current salary, and I can give this to you if I can find my copy.
You have that.
Current salary of this, Nicole, what's our current salary?
1,600.
101,660.
Current salary is 101,660, and I think the consensus of the board is to increase that, and effective, and I'll leave the motion maker to state the number and the effective date of the salary adjustment based on performance evaluation of our manager. I'm open to a motion.
Make a motion, we increase the manager's salary to $110,000 effective January 1.
Second.
We have a motion to adjust the manager's salary based on performance to $110,000 effective January 1st. A motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Thank you for a job well done.
Yes.
Amen to that.
Job's well done.
We appreciate Ms. Owens, and we want to continue to have her be our town manager for as long as she is in the business of being a manager. And so this board is really impressed with her accomplishments, her attitude, and her professionalism, and we look forward for her serving this town for years to come. So we have a motion and a second. If there are no other further discussions, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by raising your hand. Any opposed? Which I didn't think there would be, and that is unanimous. Thank you, Ms. Owens. We appreciate your continued work with us here in the town of Franklin and your professionalism, and keep up the good work.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Would you like to say anything? I'll give you an opportunity. Oh, she's a woman of few words. Okay, without further ado, does the board have anything else to bring before this council this evening?
I'd like to kill 2 more minutes of your time if I could, but I don't have to go first if somebody else wants to say anything.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Justin brought up a special toll road grant earlier, and I already had it written down because we zoned commercial another tract of land on 441 South, which obviously all of that is going to be inside of the town at some point in time, which makes you want to bring up the dead dream of having a sidewalk down 441 when and if DOT ever gets around to doing that. In that meeting, I think I asked them, they said it wasn't even on their radar anymore, so it's 5, 6, I don't know how long down the road. Gives us some time to figure it out. The grant Justin mentioned about the toll grant, we may qualify for that again when that comes up, because it'll be expensive to sidewalk all that, but with more and more properties popping up down there in the town limits and people actually walking on that road, it's worth looking into how we can get that sidewalked all the way down to our satellite properties.
Thank you, Mr. Culpepper. Someone else? Ms. Lane, anything?
Nothing other than, well, I'll just say, we can't seem to get new sidewalks for having to repair the old ones. So I'm looking so forward to when we can have some new sidewalks in the town so that more people have access to a sidewalk.
That brings up an excellent point. I get around a little bit, and every town I go to that has an old sidewalk, it's not dug up and a new sidewalk put in. There's some sort of special grinding machine that we need to buy.
We have a grinder.
We do have that, okay, because everywhere I go, the elevation changes on a sidewalk, they don't rip that sucker up. They grind that thing down, and then they use the money they would have used to tear up that sidewalk and do a new one to lay more sidewalks. So I think it's just, we need to start looking at what can we reuse.
Yeah, we purchased that last year as part of the budget.
Perfect, and it grinds that kerf on there that.
It looks pretty much like a floor buffer, only a little bit
Okay.
bigger, and it grinds little bits off at a time.
And the other reason why our sidewalk budget's getting eaten is when you replace a sidewalk, we gotta make it 5 feet wide. Whereas if you can save an old sidewalk that's 3 feet wide, you're not having to pay for an extra 2 feet of concrete. Like, everything we do now has to be extra wide. And I'm of the opinion a 3-foot sidewalk is a heck of a lot better than no sidewalk.
Exactly.
So saving old sidewalks, using that machine to make them a little more level, and then let's trailblaze and put more sidewalks in.
Thank you.
The other question I had is, have we gotten any feedback on the watering, working, that
RFP
Yeah.
closes the 17th.
Okay, but we've gotten one on the other RFP?
We had one the first time, and are you talking about the?
I'm talking about
pressure washing?
Yeah, pressure washing.
That contract's already been taken care of. We got the one bid, and
Okay, good.
so he actually met with Chris earlier this morning. What we're hoping to do is to do at least the main part of Main Street before Pumpkin Fest if possible. Both sides, and then pick up the hill and down past.
Good.
We're not gonna need any water until spring now, right, basically?
Yeah, as far as the landscaping thing, everything got good and established.
Yes.
And then we've had quite a bit of rain, so. But that RFP is still open for landscape management. Have a meeting tomorrow with the roundabout people about the designs that I sent out to you all to look at. So we'll make some tweaks to that, using all native plants and seeing what we can do there. I'll bring that back to you at the November meeting so that you can see which design you like the best. And then that'll go to DOT for final approval, and then that should happen in the spring when the planting occurs. We have measured for street trees in the bulb outs. It is looking like it is going to be possible to put some small calipers in those. We just have to make sure that the
Tall tree, small stem?
yeah.
Live.
Yes, not fake. No fake trees on
You're
Main
speaking my
Street.
language. I changed my rating on the review.
We just have to do certain measurements to make sure that it's gonna fit because of where it's at and the fact that when they do repave, does that make a difference in whether we add more or not?
Just could you put a tag on one of those trees with the name David Culpepper on there?
I will say, on October the 22nd, they will be planting the Franklin tree at the clock tower.
Oh, is it the clock tower?
The Franklin tree.
Ripped them out in 2 years because of the redevelopment.
Well, those are out in the road, in the bulb outs.
Well, I mean, though, that's what if the redevelopment plan comes back and says we need to totally change everything down through there.
If they ever come around to doing that plan though.
That's part of why we're measuring and making sure. We
Okay.
won't put too many in there, that's for sure. But anyway, the Franklin tree,
Anything
that
else?
out.
No.
Robbie, have anything?
With TDA, there's two really cool potentials right now. They're expensive and trying to figure out funding or what it looks like to get them done, but I'm proud of our TDA and some projects that have gotten brought up. And I think it's a really good step for Franklin as a whole with some, they'll stand out. It'll be photo worthy, it'll be come and show up, get downtown if you're a visitor. So I'm hoping they have to come to us and ask for money. I told them, don't hesitate. I'd rather that than us sit here and try to press you to push the gas pedal. So I'm excited for that front. And then also Friday mornings, I've been walking downtown and just sitting in front of Fishtails. The awnings on some of our older buildings. I can't wait to see majority of these either cleaned or replaced, or we have a beautiful downtown. We've got some drab spots, so just looking at that as a whole, I really think some of these steps that we're doing currently, and thankfully the business owners are taking these grants, it's really starting to make our Main Street look beautiful and make people want to look around while they're here instead of do something and leave.
Is TDA shifted at all to thinking about helping with infrastructure projects, or still studying what the state allows TDA to do? Or just waiting on somebody to come and ask for an infrastructure grant?
That discussion hasn't been brought up, so I would assume if somebody brings it up, then it would become a table discussion.
The banners are infrastructure.
Yeah, no, and that's a good start, yeah.
Start. There's probably gonna be potential, and I say this just looking at it through my town lens. We're gonna need signage up at Sunnyside.
Oh, yeah.
So that's something that TDA dollars would definitely, be a good use for when we have a good design to make an actual entryway into the park. So there's been some considerations, but there's also some, like Councilman Tompa said, some exciting things we don't want to say
Spoil the
about
fun.
at this point.
So they're not earmarking a portion of their budget each year and saying we're gonna war chest this for.
They leave it in the undesignated so that we've got more options than just having it, this is what we're gonna do.
But a long term, we're gonna try to come up with an idea for a 4-year plan. No.
To do
Like capital improvement.
Anything, yeah.
Could I just mention about the capital improvement and infrastructure expenditure? I know there's that one bad case, and it's one of those bad facts make bad law type cases. That particular locality had a long history of a TDA enabling law that said, sometimes it specified what they could use it for, and other times it was sort of like what everybody else has. And then they were using it on expenses that were really arguably kind of current ongoing expenses to salaries and stuff like that, that weren't infrastructure in some way. I think there's been a big overread of that case, because I see all kinds of TDAs going, oh, we can't do infrastructure now. And that's not a challenge against your local act. So if there's any hesitancy about it, let me help, because I think we can see a way through to say, no, you've got enabling legislation that lets you do a lot of that. And don't worry about that one case, that's not.
Well, I'd 10 to 1 rather money be spent in something that'll be here 10, 15, 20 years down the road and draw people here than an advertisement that's gone, that money's gone as soon as it's spent.
And I think that's a pretty clear intent of those laws, you know, generally, so.
Mr. Lewis, you have anything else? Mr. Guffey?
I'm sorry.
Well, since there's nothing else to say, I would like to mention one thing, and for our fellow board member here, Mr. Tompa, we sincerely pray for you and your family after the loss of your mom recently, and if there's anything that we can do, please let us know.
Thank you. It meant a lot to my family, for the flowers, or the fern that was sent, and you surprised the heck out of me by showing up. I was standing there with my pops and going, well, this is our town mayor and the man that I get to sit next to, so it meant a lot to us.
Well, and you did a great job too. I don't know if I could do what you had to do, and he had to speak at his mom's service over in Murphy, and he did a really good job, and I could tell he has a very tight, loving family, and I know you'll miss her, and we're here for you.
Thank you.
Thank you. If nothing else, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion made and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. We stand adjourned. Thank you all.
It's coming to light now, son. It's just got a boss.